It's April 2nd, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have an invisible killer released into the air, a child who vanished by the ocean, and a kidnapping wrapped in eerie unanswered clues. Let's begin. On April 2nd, 1979, something invisible escaped into the air over a quiet Soviet city. At a secret military facility known as Compound 19, a single mistake was made. A clogged exhaust filter had been removed, but never replaced. For a brief moment, weaponized anthrax spores drifted out into the atmosphere, carried silently by the wind across the edge of Sverdlovsk. No alarms, the air just looked completely normal. Hours later, people began to fall sick. At first, a fever, then a cough, then their lungs began to fail. Doctors didn't understand what they were seeing. Patients deteriorated rapidly, some dying within days. The official explanation came quickly: contaminated meat. But something didn't add up. The pattern of the deaths followed a narrow line stretching windward from the facility. Western satellites soon detected roadblocks, decontamination crews, and unusual activity across the city. Inside the Soviet Union, records began to disappear. Hospital files were destroyed, and witnesses were silenced. Over a decade, the truth was buried, until 1992, when they finally admitted what had really happened, and years later, scientists confirmed it. Spores had come from the lab, not from food, a weapon accidentally released. And by the time anyone understood it, it was already too late. It makes you wonder, how many other accidents like this do you think happen without anyone ever knowing? On April 2nd, 1954, a quiet beach in California became the center of a tragedy. 19-month-old Michael McDonald had been playing near his family's yard, just steps from the shoreline at Hermosa Beach, and then he was gone. No one saw exactly where he wandered off to, just the sound of waves and sudden silence. Moments later, a neighbor's cries broke through the air. Nearby photographer John L. Gaunt Jr. heard it and ran towards the beach, camera in hand. What he found was something he could never forget. At the edge of the water stood Michael's parents, frozen, staring out into the ocean, as if it might give their child back. Gaunt raised his camera and captured a single image, a moment of grief suspended in time. The photograph would later become known as the Tragedy by the Sea, and it would win a Pulitzer Prize. But behind the image was a search that would end in heartbreak. For 10 days, the ocean kept it secret, and eventually Michael's body was found nearly a mile away. And the man that captured the moment, he later said, "Once you see something like that, you never forget it." The photo looks peaceful, but once you know the story, it feels completely different. On April 2nd, 1932, the search for a missing child took a turn that almost felt unreal. That night, Dr. John Condon was approached by a taxi driver. The man handed him an envelope, claiming a stranger had given it to him. Just a message passed through the night. Inside, the instructions were precise and unsettling. He was told to travel to a quiet spot in the Bronx. Then, in the dark, he found another note, hidden under a stone. It felt like somebody was watching, guiding him step by step. Later, that same night, he followed the final instructions. He met a man in the shadows, someone he would later call John, or Cemetery John. Condon had handed over $50,000 in ransom, and in return, he received a promise. The child, he was told, was alive on a boat called the Nellie. But when authorities searched for it, there was nothing. No boat, no child, no trace. Even after the money was paid, sadly, the child was never returned. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.